Hello, everyone. One of the questions I get asked a lot in the classroom is how can I fill a container with a bunch of things or, an object? And it's one of those things where there's not just one way to do it, there's many different ways you can approach this. You can use in particles and do geometry instancing, or you can use in cloth. I found that the quickest way of doing something like this with dynamics, so it looks natural, is to use Bullet, which is a plugin that comes with Maya. So if you don't have a Bullet menu set here already, what you need to do is go to Windows, Settings, Preferences, Plugin Manager, and come down to Bullet and make sure that that's loaded up. So I have my object there, my container, and I have my object that I want to fill it with. So I'm going to go ahead and start just by duplicating a bunch of these guys. Just get a couple rows of them going. Like that. Maybe one more should be enough. So I have all of those objects and I want those to fall gracefully into my container here. So with Bullet activated, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select my container. I'm going to go up to the Bullet menu and create a passive rigid body. And I'll do that same thing for the ground plane. So Bullet, create passive rigid body. And for my bolts up here, what I want to do is, instead of making an active rigid body, we want to make a rigid set. So we want all of these to kind of share the same settings so we don't have to edit them on an individual level. So what I'm going to do is go to Bullet and create a rigid set. Now the first thing I'm going to want to edit is on my container. So my container, if I go to my rigid body shape here, my collider shape is set to box. I want to actually set that to mesh, because otherwise my bolts would fall and just collide with the top of the container. So as with anything dynamic, I want to come in and make sure I have play every frame set in my animation preferences. And I want to give myself enough time in my time slider. And we'll hit play and see what happens. So that actually worked out pretty well. I could probably do quite a few more of those guys. So let me back up. What I'm going to do is just delete the entire bullet system. So we'll go delete entire bullet system, and then I can come in and duplicate these guys and make more of them. So let's see if we can like overfill this jar here. So I found that this bullet system is for rigid bodies is much faster than in cloth in any way. So I'll make my jar a passive rigid body. I want to set its collider shape to mesh, and I'll make my ground plane a passive rigid body, and then I can make all of these guys a rigid set. And then we'll hit play and see how that works out. So, not too bad. That worked out pretty well. So now, let me make this guy a little bit more transparent just so we can actually, I think that's about as transparent as we're going to get. So if I want to kind of keep these the way they are now and not have them, not have them have to simulate every time I hit play on my keyboard, what I want to do is delete my history. So Windows, or sorry, not Windows, Edit, Delete by Type, History. Now if I look in my outliner, I'm going to have a bunch of like these hidden cylinders, and basically those are my bolts that I have there. And then I have a bullet rigid solve. So basically all these guys are combined right now. So it's going to treat these guys as if they're one object. But with my history deleted, what I can do now is I can delete my solver. And I can delete all of these hidden guys. And then if I want to separate these guys again, I'm going to put them in a group first. So I just hit Control G to group them. And then I can just do a mesh separate. And give that a minute to do its thing. So now I have all of these nuts and bolts now on a individual level. So that is how we can fill an object, fill a container with a bunch of objects using Bullet.